Welcome to Coming Attractions. Tonight, we'll be reviewing Family Affair, the motion picture. Just look who got $8 million to play Mr. French.
Buffy, Zodi, for your lunch I have made peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
Would you make a sandwich for my doll, Mrs. Beasley?
Yeah, sure. That's exactly what I feel like doing. Of course I can get together a little sandwich for your stupid little doll. Hang on a sec.
An anthology on the bad, the short-lived, and the forgotten shows and events in television history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
On this week's Super Train Mystery, Hail to the Chief. Two dwarfs and a magician replace a presidential candidate with a double so real, even his wife can't tell.
Episode 522, submission number 2350, Family Affair, the 2002 reboot. Family Affair aired on the WB from September 12th, 2002 to March 13th, 2003 for 15 episodes, 2 of which went unaired. In 1966, Edmund Hartman and Don Fedderson, known primarily up to that time for My Three Sons and The Millionaire, teamed up to pitch to CBS a sitcom revolving around a successful civil engineer and wealthy bachelor who becomes a reluctant father figure to his deceased brother's 3 kids, a teenage girl, and her younger fraternal twins. Together with his proper British manservant, they end up becoming a different kind of family, at least for that time. CBS picked up the show sight unseen, mostly due to Don Fedderson's track record at the time, again, My Three Sons, The Millionaire. It ran for 5 seasons and became legendary for reasons both good and bad. Fast forward 30 years, and the WB, primarily known for shows featuring early to mid-20-somethings cosplaying as teenagers, was looking to expand its footprint in the comedy space, to make up for the fact that the teen boom of the 1990s was on a steady decline. Many of the shows launched in that era were starting to drop in the ratings, except for the likes of Charmed and Seventh Heaven. The network refocused its efforts on family-friendly fare as they dropped to 6th opposite UPN. Some programming that would typify this shift would be Reba with Reba McEntire, Smallville, Gilmore Girls, What I Like About You, the acquired from ABC Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and for some reason, this show. Bob Young, whose resume included Boy Meets World.
I figure you do a good takeout business.
Good takeout business. Yeah, we do a good takeout business. Takeout business.
And Dinosaurs.
Now remember, they were not called steroids. They were thornoids. Even though steroids was in the title of the episode, you couldn't say that on ABC on Friday night.
Bob Young was tapped to reimagine the show in the lens of modern culture, with Uncle Bill as a civil engineer and architect with his hands on a lot of projects, both in the civil sphere and out of it. Because in 2002, millionaires diversify their enterprises. It's how millionaires lose money faster. Suffice it to say, Bill made money, quite a lot of money. He and his British manservant Giles French inherit a party-crazy teenage girl and her 2 young and inquisitive fraternal twins from a no longer dead but merely widowed Jenny Davis, who is Uncle Bill's sister-in-law to create a different kind of family. So let's talk about who they got to replace Brian Keith, Sebastian Cabot, and the like. Playing Mr. Giles French, the one, the only, Tim Curry from The Rocky Horror Picture Show, Clue, and if you're about my age and Greg's age, The Worst Witch on HBO.
Well, that is true, but you didn't mention Home Alone 2?
That's right. He was in Home Alone 2. I completely forgot about that. Playing Uncle Bill Davis, the man about town, the civil engineer who, I didn't know civil engineers made that kind of money, but here we are. Gary Cole. Harvey Birdman himself. We all remember him as the boss from hell, Bill Lumberg from Office Space. Playing Sigourney Sissy Davis, inheriting the role from Kathy Garver, Caitlin Walks, who was in 41 episodes of Profiler and the entirety of Commander-in-Chief with Gina Davis. I believe she was Gina Davis's daughter. And oh my god, I can't believe we're mentioning this on the podcast here. She played Penny on Inspector Gadget 2. Inheriting the role of Jodie Davis from Johnny Whitaker, Luke Benward. Nowadays doing a whole lot, but he only appeared as Jodie in the pilot. The role was since recast as Jimmy Jax Pinchak. He played the know-it-all in The Polar Express. And inheriting the role of Buffy from the late Anissa Jones, Sasha Peters, who was in all 158 episodes of Pretty Little Liars.
Oh.
But you know where I first saw her?
Where?
2005's The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D.
Oh my god. Well, you know what? The only Shark Boy I recognized was in TNA Wrestling. Thank you very much.
And that's pretty much our family unit for this family affair. So we're just going to go right into the episodes, beginning with the pilot. Luke Benward, not Jimmy Pinchak, as Jonathan Jody Davis for this episode. And it aired over the course of an hour, whereas subsequent episodes would air as half hours. A bachelor and his butler, played by Gary Cole and Tim Curry, became surrogate parents to 3 youngsters, played by Sasha Peters, Caitlin Walks, and Luke Benward. Playing Jenny Davis, Bill's sister-in-law, Eve Gordon, who took up the role of Diane Zelinsky in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Oh man. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. The straight-to-video sequel.
And playing Mrs. Summers, Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer Lewis played Ruby on Blackish.
And playing a businessman in the second half of the pilot, somebody we talked about on this podcast, Dakin Matthews. He was in Drexel's Class.
Oh, yeah. We mentioned previously.
Episode 2, French Lessons. Since Buffy and Jody don't quite fit in at their private school, Uncle Bill decides they should be homeschooled by Mr. French.
Oh my. Mike, can you imagine being homeschooled by Mr. French?
Now, are we talking about Tim Curry, Mr. French? Or are we talking about Marlon Brando, Mr. French? Or are we talking about Sebastian Cabot, Mr. French?
All 3.
You know, Tim Curry doesn't do anything for me. Marlon Brando, he's just there for the paycheck. Sebastian Cabot, though, I'm all in there.
Yeah, but you know what? If you need a bribe on a test or something, I bet the Marlon Brando Mr. French would give you an offer you can't refuse.
One of the teachers in the private school, a Mrs. Bateman, is played by Jane Carr, who you would remember as the sort of randy British lady in Dear John. I watched the pilot, which was an hour-long affair, and it seemed like they were playing this off as sort of a comedic drama, but they needed some humor beats, so they kind of sort of shoehorned in a laugh track, and it totally didn't make any lick of sense as I was watching. But then I was doing the research for this episode, and it turns out that aside from Bob Young enlisted the creative minds of Sid and Marty Krofft to help bring his vision of this classic to life. I take a look at Sid and Marty Krofft and I'm thinking to myself, all of a sudden, that makes sense. Trying to marry the humor beats to an already existing product and failing miserably. Also, the show is filmed on the same CBS Studio City lot as the original series. Episode 3, Mrs. Beasley disappears. When French accidentally destroys Buffy's favorite doll, he scrambles to find a replacement before she finds out.
Oh no.
This happened on the original show to a point. Mrs. Beasley wasn't destroyed, but she was, I don't know if it was misplaced or if Miss Beasley fell off the balcony, but Sebastian Cabot, Mr. French, had to find a replacement Mrs. Beasley by the time that Buffy got home.
Episode 5, Skivvies. Mr. French is aghast when he discovers Sissy will be attending an underwear-only party. Buffy and Jodie look forward to their new bunk bed. You're watching the WB!
Can we, do a palate cleanser here? Because I think we really need to have a palate cleanser after that. Playing a handyman in this episode, David Hornsby, one of the people behind It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but also Rickety Cricket.
And hold on, Rickety Cricket's going to be back in the upcoming season of It's Always Sunny.
Oh, I can't wait to see how much of a mess he is.
Speaking of Cricket, a character by the name of Cricket appears on this episode, played by Elena Lyons, who was the female lead on USA High on the USA Network.
You know what USA High wasn't for sure? Wasn't Silk Stockings, tell you that much.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it wasn't a Quinn Martin production.
Well, that too.
Imagine Saved by the Bell if it was A, in a foreign high school, and B, on basic cable. By the way, we have the return of a recurring character, probably Sissy's best friend, Sutton. Sutton Ramsey, played by Skylar Shea, hasn't been in much of anything. Her last credit was 3 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Episode 6, Ballroom Blitz. Mr. French teaches social graces and etiquette to stubborn Sissy. This is a girl who wants to attend New York parties, and she's being taught social graces. Couple names in this episode: playing Mrs. Rebecca Fowler, Valerie Curtin, who you would remember from the TV version of 9 to 5, the one with Rita Moreno in it. And playing Parker Leanne Aldays, Danielle Panabaker from The Flash. She played Caitlin Snow / Killer Frost. Episode 7, No Small Parts. Mr. French intercedes when Sissy decides to quit the school play because she suspects her uncle pulled strings to get her the lead role. Playing Ms. Robbins, one of the teachers and presumably one of the directors of the play, Julie Brown. Not downtown Julie Brown, Just Say Julie Brown.
You mean the first champion on Feud, Julie Brown?
That would be the one. And playing Irene, Leighton Meester. She was Blair Waldorf on Gossip Girl, a.k.a. my sister's spirit animal.
Oh, another Keesla favorite, Gossip Girl.
The original, not the reboot.
Not the But she was also in How I Met Your Father. Remember that?
Yes! She played Meredith on How I Met Your Father. She was also on a couple of episodes of The Orville.
Yes. And we all love The Orville around here.
I want to throw out a name who was a consulting producer on this episode. Eddie Gorodetsky, who you know as a producer of 2.5 Men and The Big Bang Theory, among other things.
Episode 8, Nightmare on 71st Street. Uncle Bill and Mr. French plan a special Halloween expedition when they realize trick-or-treating in New York won't compare to the small-town holiday Buffy and Jody are accustomed to. Playing Ira Gerwitz, George Weiner from She's the Sheriff, among other things.
You're going to bury the lead. He was Colonel Sanders in Spaceballs.
What are you, chicken? Episode 9, The Room Parent. When Uncle Bill goes on a business trip, Mr. French is asked to be the room parent in Buffy and Jody's class. Which begs the question, what's a room parent?
It's something that's used more in preschool and maybe kindergarten, where somebody is like the parent of the day. So they assist with whatever lessons may be going on or something in that regard. And actually, my mother, about 15 years ago, was like the school mother of the day. She went to my cousin's preschool to help out. And believe it or not, that day, the preschool teacher brought in kittens. And that's how I ended up with Banoodles. So if it wasn't for my mom being like the helper of the day, I wouldn't have gotten the absolute best cat in the world.
Aww. We have another appearance from a recurring character, a lady by the name of Mrs. McWhirter, who I imagine is Buffy and Jody's teacher. She is played by Jamie Donnelly, who you would probably remember as Jan in the original 1978 Grease movie. Episode 10, I Know What You Did Last Sunday. Sissy follows Mr. French on his day off and observes him rendezvousing with a mysterious woman. Said woman, a lady by the name of Charlotte, is played by Charlotte Cornwell, the younger half-sister of novelist John le Carré, and the narrator of Ghosts of Mars, sadly no longer with us. Episode 11, Holiday Fever. Uncle Bill asks his friend to play Santa Claus for bedridden twins Buffy and Jody, and Mr. French meets a chatty traveler while waiting for his flight to England. Uncle Bill's friend, a man by the name of Kevin, is played by the original Jody Davis himself, Johnny Whitaker.
Do you know what Johnny Whitaker was in? He was in the classic movie, A Talking Cat.
We haven't talked about a talking cat in a very long time. Wow.
With Eric Roberts as the voice of the talking cat.
And playing the chatty traveler, a lady by the name of Beverly, the original Sissy Davis herself, Kathy Garver. Was she in A Talking Cat too?
I don't know.
No, she had standards.
Yeah. You want to talk about standards? We talked about Kathy Garver in a previous entry. She was Firestar on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, yes.
Episode 12, Sissy's Big Fat Moroccan First Date.
Oh, gee, I wonder what this is in reference to.
It was 2003. That was the new hotness. Uncle Bill forbids Sissy to go on a date with one of her classmates, but she devises a plan to get what she wants. Her date is a guy by the name of Liam Martin, played by the late Aaron Carter. Playing one of Sissy's friends in this episode, a guy by the name of Josh, Marcus T. Polk from Moesha. He played Miles, Moesha's younger brother. Also, nowadays, he's the voice of Myron and 10-year-old Charles in The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. Episode 13, Miss Turnstiles. Sissy and her friends jump the turnstile at the subway station while Mr. French helps the twins prepare for a school pageant. There were 2 other episodes that were produced but not aired, and I have capsules for both of them. The 14th episode would be Crushed. Mr. French discovers a secret about the boy Sissy has a crush on, while the twins indulge in an online shopping spree.
What would you be doing in 2003 online?
I don't know. Buying a PlayStation 2?
How much do you think a damn memory card for the PS2 cost in like 2003 or whatever? I think it was like $30, wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
For 8 megabytes of memory.
I thought the 8 megabyte memory card was for the PS1. I thought the PS2, at least the cards that I had, were 16 megs.
Penultimate episode, this one also did not air. Space Invaders. Sissy and the twins fail to hit it off with Uncle Bill's girlfriend's obnoxious children. Playing Uncle Bill's girlfriend, Jane Sibbett from Herman's Head and season 2 of Nick Frino, Licensed Teacher.
We're just gonna forget the famous Teddy Z, huh?
And the final episode, Uncanny Nanny. Uncle Bill and Mr. French hire a nanny in an effort to restore some order to their lives.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'm guessing this was the Nancy Walker of the group because playing the nanny, a lady by the name of Sarah, Megan Fay. She was in Barton Fink, she was in Loot, Supernatural, Superstore, and 2 versions of the Carol Burnett Show from the early 90s.
Was one of them Carol and Company?
Yes.
You know who was in Carol and Company?
Richard Kind.
Was he in Carol and Company?
Yes, he was. Yes, he
was.
was.
You know who else was in Carol and Company?
Who else?
Terry Kaiser.
Nice! That's the series. Now, the original pilot, again, it aired over an hour in September of 2000, attracted 4.5 million viewers, which was high for the WB at the time. And if you look at the kind of ratings that a show on primetime would pull now, was high then. The second episode dropped to 3.38 million, still reasonably well, according to the powers that be, well enough for the network to order a full season of 22 episodes. Reality would tell a different tale because the ratings continued to slide ever downward. Opposite, Friends, Big Brother, and WWE SmackDown. You're not winning against the likes of SmackDown and Friends.
Nope. Now, let's be clear here. 2002 to 2003. Kurt Angle. Bigger ratings draw than Tim Curry.
And this is around the time that Courtney Cox got married to David Arquette, so Friends at its peak. By November, the ratings, and now I'm quoting from Variety, barely registered on the Nielsen charts, and the network cut the back 9 order by 3. The next month, the show was pulled from the schedule and put on hiatus as the network reduced the additional episode order to 2. In the end, for the 2002-2003 season, Out of the 159 U.S. broadcast network series to air that season, Family Affair ranked 148th.
Wow.
In February, hoping it would build from the audience of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, it aired out of that show. It did not help. After the original 13 aired in March, the WB pulled the show from its schedule and washed their hands of the whole affair. The official stance on the show is that it was being considered as done by that time, and the show was officially canceled that May. It was never released officially on DVD or streaming, but episodes exist on YouTube if you are so inclined to watch. But get ready for something that Michael Spear of Variety called something that reeks of manufactured happiness and warm and fuzzy plot lines. Although they did praise the production designer Scott Heineman for the set design, because that New York City apartment looked glitzy as hell. Believe it or not, there was talk about bringing the original Family Affair, not this reboot, but a show that set in the universe of the original Family Affair back.
How would they do that, guys? This is like 2003. We don't have like AI technology to revisit it. We can't go to let'senhance.io and ask, let's make a new version of the original Family Affair. No.
I have the details right here. Remember Kathy Garver from the holiday episode who played the original Sissy? The sequel series was going to be called Aunt Sissy. She was going to reprise her role as Sissy Davis. This was announced in 2019 as a new family comedy that is not exactly a sequel to Family Affair, but has elements of the premise of that classic, plus a few surprises. Several episodes were shot, but it was never picked up.
Oh, we need to find this. This is like lost gold. Does Mr. French have a relative that shows up in this?
My money is on that being one of the surprises.
Yes.
The only thing I could say is they didn't even re-release Mrs. Beasley as a toy. None of the people associated with this show would sit on their laurels for long. We all know Sasha was on Pretty Little Liars. Gary Cole continued with Harvey Birdman. Tim Curry continued to be a British badass. What can I say? Family Affair, 2002. The WB wanted this to be its next great sitcom for its renaissance. It ended up being just a thing on TV.
You can find us at our website, itwasathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was a Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was a Thing on TV. You can find us on any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time.
Now, for those of you listening on Place to Be Nation, this is our next to last drop. Our final drop will be coming next week, which will be our shows that are starting on Monday. And what is the first show that we're doing on Monday, guys?
To celebrate the 35th anniversary of one of the most successful consoles of this or any other era, we have Game Boy commercials.
Yes, continuing our tradition from Atari 2600 commercials and NES and Super Nintendo commercials, we're celebrating that big white brick for its 35th birthday. Aren't you excited, Mike?
I take offense to you calling it that big white brick. It was not that big, and it certainly wasn't a brick.
But we'll find out more about those commercials, which I hope a falling brick doesn't fall down on me.
Ha 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 ha! I got that joke.
Next time, right here at It Was a Thing on TV. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you with that episode, along with another one, next week. Wow! You want me to play a Canon clip again, like a couple weeks ago?
End the episode with that. Sure.
Okay. It's called belly bump into the pool. And I'll read the description. After hanging out at the pool with the beautiful Stephanie Powers, I belly bumped this troublemaker into the pool.
I want to say that aired on MeTV within the last maybe about month or so. I think that was like a season 5 episode because I saw that. Maybe I'm confusing it with Morgan Fairchild, but I've seen this clip. This is great.
Okay, here we go.
Why don't we call it a day? I'll meet you in the car.
All right.
I like your style. I dig your smile.
I'll cherish your every word.
You think your old Mac's gonna do anything for you? He's up to his ears in trouble. You need somebody else.
You seen Fred?
You let me run you, girl. You'll have it all.
I don't need you, darling.
I got guys flying in from Japan, Hong Kong. We can cut up a lot of scratch.
You can't even take care of yourself, chump change.
I can handle you, baby. You're nothing special. Hey, fella, don't treat the lady like that. Come on. Butt off. All I'm asking is that you have good manners. I said butt off. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Frank's secret weapon is his stomach. Belly bumped into the pool of a trombone noise. It doesn't get more humiliating than that. Mr. Cannon just belly bumped the bad guy. How incredible. He's the perfect gentleman, too. Legend. He's lucky Frank took it easy on him. Let me see the reply here. Thought you were going to say lucky Frank wasn't going to eat him. Cannon helped.